And welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Today is National Rescue Dog Day. We're going to talk about colleges and how they're kind of handling their COVID planning and vaccination moving forward. We're going to talk about being banned from dating apps, which should be interesting. And then some neat stuff last night in the sports world, some no-hitters, some game winners. So we'll get to that eventually. Mark, how are you feeling today?
Well, I feel good. There was no emergency room in my last 24 hours. And I have also not been banned from any dating apps that I know of, unlike you. And that's why the story came up. That's how, you discovered this, because you've been banned from so many of them now. So we'll just tease that on the other side of the prize wheel.
It took 82 episodes before I finally had to say fake news. You've officially made us fake news with that last banned app story. I've been banned from no dating apps.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Well, as far as you know.
That's true. I mean, I guess you have to register and apply and all that stuff. I've probably been blocked from Raya without even attempting.
Yes, that is true.
They probably will not let me on.
I didn't get that joke at first, and then I had to catch up, and then I
started to click, didn't it?
I got it. It took me a while.
Which, by the way, we're still looking for someone with a social media following to get us on Raya. So if you have a big following, get a hold of us.
If you weren't watching that episode and you don't know what we're talking about, well, first of all, where the hell were you? And second of all, like the dating app for the stars is called Raya.
Yes.
And Ben Affleck, made some news with it. But you have to. It's like joining the country club, kind of. Like you just can't show up and put your money down and play. Like there's a process, and they have to vet you and approve you, and you have to be A-list enough to get in, which is why we can't.
There was a great debate the other day, because that's another one we can do, is like A-list, B-list, C-list. Like, what is an A-list celebrity? But we can do that another time.
Not us.
No. Yes. Exclusivity. Exclusivity.
That's a V. You're looking for a V.
This has gone off the rails already.
Although in Blossburg, you are A-list.
If you listen, my family was involved in the beer distributor a little bit. Like, yes, we were. A-list though. I feel like everybody in Blossburg is A-list. I can't think of a person in Blossburg that's not A-list.
No, that is not true.
I can't. I think it's a town of A-listers.
It's a utopia in Tioga County, Pennsylvania.
Listen, when you are from Blossburg, everyone in Blossburg knows you, and I feel like that is the definition of A-list. So I feel like everybody in Blossburg is an A-lister.
There you go. I guess
I'm sticking with that. National Rescue Dog Day. Go.
Well, I mean, it's kind of one of the things. Maybe it's been around forever. When I was a kid, you wanted to get a dog. You either bought it from somebody who, their dog had puppies, or you went to the SPCA, and that's a shelter dog.
Yeah.
Rescue dogs are dogs that were kind of in very bad situations. And I know multiple people. My brother's got a couple. I think Carrie, our news director, has a rescue dog, a college buddy of mine. And these kind of come from far and wide. And these are dogs that were in very bad situations. Some of the SPCA dogs were in bad situations too, but some of them weren't. It's just it just depends. But the rescue dogs were basically rescued. It's more of a process. It's more of an adoption process to make sure that you're a good fit for this dog, because the dog has been through so much. But like I said, if you talk to anyone who's dealt with rescues, it's for the big-hearted, a worthwhile. If you want a little puppy and you want to start from scratch and you want to have this, then rescue dogs are not your way. But if you're looking for a dog that's probably already trained but has been abused and neglected, it is a great program.
Yeah, I've been told that if you have a dog already, it's a good companion program. Like if you're looking to get a companion for your dog, the rescue program, especially older rescue dogs, is like there's a lot of success there, and it's something worthwhile looking into.
I believe that. Yeah. When my brother just got, within the last year, they got two at essentially the same time. And what they did, they have kind of foster parents for these dogs, and one dog came from Texas. And one dog came from somewhere, and they have like relay people who they'll transport the dog for a couple hours, and then they pass it off. It's kind of the Olympic torch, if you will, to get the dog here. But there was a foster parent who actually kept the dogs together for a little bit, for a weekend or something, so the dogs could get used to each other, and then the dogs traveled together for some of the way, so the dogs could get used to each other, as opposed to just showing up in this random house. But it's a neat program. If you are of the big heart because a lot of it's unconscionable, some of the conditions that some of these dogs have been in, and so if you're looking for that, today is National Rescue Dog Day, and if you're looking to adopt it, it is an option.
Nice. All right. Good stuff. The other story, and this came out, I read a story on NBC News about this, and we've touched on this a little bit. We had talked about Bucknell making it mandatory vaccination to come back to campus. They had a few exemptions, but the story that I was reading on NBC today, it started to break down some of the stats and based off of that. But let's just start here. Most universities that are private are coming out now and they're making it a mandate that you must be vaccinated in order to come back to campus, whereas public institutions are kind of leaning towards more of the idea of like they shouldn't do that. Everyone should be allowed to make their own choice because they're a public institution. But now that the stats have come out, the NBC report basically said over 75% of institutions that have said that there is a vaccination mandate, you must be vaccinated to return to campus, over 75% of them have said that they will have a religious exemption included in the policy. And you and I don't know if we necessarily disagree on all of this, but I feel very strongly that I don't think it makes a ton of sense.
Well, I think, as we've talked about it, I think it's all marketing. And because I think the public schools are not mandating it because I think they would have more red tape to jump through, and I don't know if they can pull it off. The private schools are doing it because they think it will attract. The private schools, their job is to attract as good of students as they can, and they think this is the best way to go about it in 2021. So, but they also don't want to be seen as discriminatory against certain religions, and I would assume it's mostly going to be foreign, but the foreign students that come to these elite universities are not dumb, and they want these students because it makes their university look better. So, it's marketing, and as we said, going forward, this is still part of the great unknown that COVID has created. And if you see, a normal, white Protestant kid from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, who claims now that he has some Eastern religion that it prohibits it, then I'm sure they'll adjust. It depends how many people per campus try to use this loophole and say, I didn't get vaccinated, but it's because I worship this. And then the other question is, do they have to claim that on their transcript forever? That yes, Johnny Smith from Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, claims he's a practicing Muslim, and does that have to go on? So who knows where this goes, but we'll see how many people try to use it the way it's intended, or how many people try to use it as a loophole. And in a place like Bucknell, are there 12 kids on campus next year that use it, or are there 600? And then we'll see where it goes from there.
You use the word discriminatory, and I don't know. You and I went back and forth in this before we were on the show for about an hour, so I'm not really sure where to begin with it. I will say this. I think it's a scientific problem that you're giving an exemption that is not a scientific exemption. And so I think that is the first part. You're going through all these policies, you're putting all this stuff in place, and you're basically saying, like, in order to come back, you have to be vaccinated. But then you're picking an abstract thing in order to give an exemption. And I agree with what you had said earlier. You said, even if 99%, 95%, whatever percentage of students get vaccinated and don't use the religious exemption, you're correct. The campus is now safer, and that matters. But my point to you was, after you do all these policies and you make the campus safer, the moment you put in any type of exemption, whether it's a race exemption, a political exemption, a religious exemption, every time someone applies for that exemption, the safety goes down. That X percentage of safer you were now goes down. And again, maybe one kid applies for it. Maybe 100 kids apply for it. I don't know how many kids across the country will apply for a religious exemption to not have to get vaccinated. But to give an exemption for a scientific problem that has no scientific proof, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't, to me, it feels very catch-22-ish. It feels like you're getting your cake and eat it too. Like, hey, look, we're going to be safe, but we're going to add this exemption in. So if you happen to fall into it, because to me, I don't understand the difference between a religious belief, a political belief, a scientific belief. Like, if it's a belief, then you should have an exemption. You could have a choice exemption. You could have a belief exemption. To just say like 75% of institutions are going to have a religious exemption, it just doesn't, I don't think it's right. Like, it just doesn't feel balanced. It doesn't feel correct.
Well, you do have a choice. You can go to Penn State. I mean, that's,
yeah, you can go to a public institution.
That's where it shakes down. So, like I said, we'll see how much they're just trying to make their campus, at least publicly, they're trying to make it look as safe as possible. And it's safer than doing nothing. And again, it just depends how many people do this. And in a year, all these may go away. This may be marketing for upcoming students, because right now you're in the early admissions. You know, kids who are juniors right now are trying to decide they're going to go visit colleges this summer, see where they want to apply early decision, and then see where they want to apply overall. So this may be just a marketing tool for 1 year, and then it may all go away. So, I don't know. And again, we talk about private schools that are doing it. Not all private schools are doing it.
No, but the over 75%.
No. I mean, private schools are requiring.
Gotcha. No, not all private schools. I actually might have the numbers here. But
didn't we have like 17 across the state, 300 across the country, something like that?
Yeah.
So, it's just one of the aspects.
In the Northeast alone, 208 schools are requiring vaccinations in order to return to campus. So out of those 208 schools, over 150 of them are going to have a religious exemption. And that, for me, like I said, it just feels like have your cake and eat it too.
Well,
like it just doesn't make sense to me.
And when we say that, if you ever look at a population map, it's so disproportionate how many people live in the Northeast. So there's more colleges in the Northeast than any other section of the country. But yeah, I don't. And there's a lot of old private schools in the Northeast too.
And can I just say this too? Like, I'm not against schools having a vaccination mandate on campus. I'm also not against schools having a religious exemption. I'm against them only having a religious exemption or only doing the mask mandate. Like, you can't have both. It does not make sense.
You can't give everyone exemptions. You can't mandate it and then give everyone an exemption.
You cannot say we are trying to make the campus as safe as possible, put all this policy and mandates in place, and then just decide there's a religious exemption.
Well, I'm sure they're not saying. I'm sure they're not saying as possible. I'm sure the term "we're not trying to make the campus as safe as possible" is in there. They're just trying to make the campus safer, and in 2021, it looks good.
Yeah, and you still can't explain to me the difference between a religious exemption or a political exemption or a choice exemption or a belief exemption, because that's what it is. It's just a belief. It's a faith in something. It's a belief in something, just like your belief in politics or your belief in whatever it is that you're into. So to pick for 75% of these schools to say that the exemption that they are allowing is religious exemption, I don't know. It feels like a very obscure pocket to decide that is the exemption, but you can't have a choice exemption or a belief exemption or political exemption. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I think the political exemption comes from like, it depends who's in power. If Trump would have been like, everybody run out and get the vaccine, it would be flipped. And the Republicans would be getting it, the Democrats wouldn't, because that's where our world is right now. So, to say it's not really a political decision. It's what did your political leader say, and now we all follow.
Correct. But you and I agree it's a scientific situation. Like they're like COVID-19. Okay, so to give an exemption to something that is not scientific based, at that point, I just don't understand the difference between a political exemption and a religious exemption, because they're both based off of belief, not off of science. And so I just don't understand why that is being soloed out as the exemption or the thing that can get you around this. And you even said, like, there's going to be loopholes. Like, to your credit, like you said, like, this is just one loophole and we'll see how many people take advantage of it. Like, maybe it will be one, maybe it will be 100. Like, there's no way to know.
And the example I gave, and I know this is apples and oranges to a degree, but the college is in business to do what's best for the college. And that's why at every university, no matter how much they tout themselves, and, Penn State is a very good institution, no doubt about it. They let guys strap on helmets and shoulder pads who would never, ever, 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 ever get into school there if they couldn't tackle people. But they make the exemption because they feel like in the overall good, it's good for the school. So these other schools, these private schools are making these exemptions, understanding. And again, I'm going to say, I'm assuming that most of these kids are foreign, but they're very bright. And they're coming to America to get an American education. And it's overall good for these academic nerd schools to bring in the worldwide academic nerds, just as it is for Penn State to bring in linebackers who can stuff the run and go cover guys.
Yes. And I understand as private institutions, they can do that. What I'm saying is that for these institutions to be this bright and to be this sound, right, in a logical standpoint, it doesn't make a ton of sense then for them to decide that a religious exemption is going to be the one they're going to let slide by.
I disagree.
I
would have done exactly what they did. I am in full agreement.
Yes, because you're thinking of it from the money-making business aspect of it.
Yeah, that's what their job is.
Correct. And what I'm saying is it does not make sense. From a business standpoint, sure. From a business standpoint,
well, that's all they're learning.
I actually think business-wise, I'm pro the exemption because I'm saying like there should be more exemptions. Like if you're going to let one belief exemption, then you should have all the belief exemptions.
But there's a scale, and you don't want to scare away the kids who really, really want the shot.
Yeah.
So you want the shot kids to feel super safe, and so anyway.
No, that was all I needed to hear.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to be able to talk to people, and maybe they'll never publish it. Maybe they can't. But it'll be, next year, these people behind closed doors would either say, well, it didn't really even affect it, or we had a lot more religious people on our campus than we ever thought we did because they just took the loophole and jumped through.
These institutions, like these are the engineers, the scientists, and just the idea that there's an exemption for something that is not based off of that goes against the idea of the safety and health of people on campus because of something not based off of science. I just don't get it. I don't. And I respect religion. I am jealous of people who have a faith and can follow it because unfortunately, I am not one of those people. So I have a deep respect for them. I just don't understand the exemption for it.
You don't have a deep respect for anyone.
That's not true.
That is totally true.
I do. I couldn't sit here.
Okay, Michael Jordan. That's it.
That's it. That's the only one.
He's number one on the list. I'd have to think of number two.
Thank you to Weiss Markets for sponsoring the Midday Show at NorthcentralPa.com. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. We also want to thank, I almost said Moon and Raven. We want to thank Eat and Run Catering. And we also want to thank the Break Room. That's the one I couldn't think of. So thank you to the Break Room as well. We have gift cards behind Mark's head there, and we are going to spin the wheel. In order to have a chance to win, make sure that you join the Midday Show Facebook group. All you have to do is go to Facebook, type in the Midday Show. We are typically the first one that comes up on the search bar. Click it, join it, follow along. You automatically have a chance to have your name drawn for Mark to spin the prize wheel for you.
You know what I've noticed?
What?
Not to go off on a tangent here,
yeah.
But whenever I'm having medical issues, our numbers go way up. First, when I tested positive for COVID, it was like the biggest show we did early on. And then after I had my emergency room stint with a lot of viewers, so people are like, they're basking in my demise here as I get older and older and continue to fall apart.
It's like in Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, where when he gets hurt, the kid stops crying. That's what it's like.
But it's close. That's the best Adam Sandler movie.
Ooh, that's a good debate. I think it definitely has the best one-liners, which we'll come back to. Our random winner today on the Midday Show is from our Facebook group, Ashley Staver.
There we go. I'd go Staver.
Ashley Staver. Let's spin. Let's see what we get her.
I'm not feeling good. She's going to get nothing.
Oh,
I know. I could tell.
One too far.
It's that time you go to the tee box.
It's a feeling.
You put it in the ground and you're like, this thing is going in the woods. Get another ball out before I even swing, because this is not going to go well.
No, it's a feeling. Can I just say, because you go off on tangents, I'll go off on this 30-second tangent. There is a scene at the very beginning of Big Daddy, for anyone who hasn't seen Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. And they are at a party, and it's going to be a surprise party. And then he ends up, I'm not giving anything away, he ends up proposing to the girl. And there is a deadpan scene where Adam Sandler, as the guy gets onto one knee, he says to his buddy, "You're not proposing, are you?" And everyone in the room like looks at him like, "What are you doing?" And his buddy just turns around and says like, "Yes, sonny, I am." And without missing a beat, Adam Sandler just goes, "Well, think about it," as he's on one knee. So now anytime I go somewhere and I know like, and my friends are going to propose or there's something going on, it takes everything in me when they get on one knee to not just be
wait. Before we go on to band, this goes right into band dating apps.
Yeah.
Your friend, your incestual Blossberg friend group, you announce to your buddies that you're going to propose and then they do it in a public forum?
I mean, it's happened. Wait, do you think more proposals happen in public or in private? I think more happen in public.
All right, I'd have to think about it. But I don't think you tell all your buddies and be like, "Hey, I'm going to propose. I'm going to propose."
I think you do. Like, I think if you're close with your friends, you let them know, like, "Hey, I got a ring. I think I'm going to do it next week." Like, I think you do. I think you give them the heads up.
Maybe. I don't know.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
Interesting. Well, anyway, it takes everything in me when I see somebody down on one knee, or that's all that runs through my head.
So wait, hold on. So before you propose, are you going to tell me?
Tell you?
Yeah.
Well, no, I just said your closest friends. No, I'll probably tell my friends that I'm going to propose.
But now you're telling them before you tell her.
You didn't. Well, yes, that's the whole point of a proposal. It's not like it's a secret. I mean, most people ask for permission and they tell the family and there's something planned.
That's bunk.
Because don't the girls they're supposed to know, so that way their friends can take them to get their nails done like the week before.
Wait.
Yeah.
They're supposed to know before the proposal?
The friends are, because they're supposed to help her get ready.
Oh God, no.
You've never heard of any of this.
No.
First of all, it's a big deal. You're supposed to make sure that somebody close to the I don't want to call her the bride. What do I call? What's the female version of newlywed? I don't even know what it is.
The I know what you mean.
The fiance.
The fiance. The chick fiance.
Yes, you're supposed to let her friends know beforehand, because like if you're going to propose on like a Saturday, they're supposed to take her to go get her nails done on like Thursday or Wednesday, like randomly, like just like, "Hey, let's go do this," or whatever. Yes, that's a thing. Because now for pictures, like her nails are done. This is a thing. You don't know this?
I don't know. No, I'm not married anymore. But
you don't know any of this.
I proposed in a dive bar while we were watching Monday Night Football. It was the national championship game. I proposed because it was our place. Because it wasn't. It was where we went, and it was kind of. We hadn't been there in years, but when we were younger dating, we went to it was right down. It was a block from where she lived. It was this corner neighborhood bar that had, cheap pizza, and that's where we go to watch like Monday Night Football and stuff.
Interesting.
And so that was our place.
Okay, so can I give you
let me tell you this. The best proposals, I have a proposal story that I probably shouldn't tell in the air because the guy wouldn't want it, but should I tell that story?
Anyway, can I tell you the rules for the proposal?
It can't be all that. The more orchestrated it is, the dumber it is. I'll just say that right now.
Here's my understanding of proposals, and I understand everybody's is different. This is my understanding. You are supposed to ask for permission. You are supposed to make sure that somebody that is close enough to the fiance knows beforehand, so that she can make sure that the future fiance is prepped, meaning like her nails are done, or she's going to be available for the proposal. Like if you're trying to set something up for a certain time and place, like it's her job to help you make sure that the stuff is lined up, that like everything's under wraps, but that she's ready for it unknowingly. And then my understanding is you are supposed to do it in a setting. It can be a public setting, but you need to do it in a manner where it's private enough, where it's still you two, like, so you can have a group of people around you, but it's got to be at a point where you two are close enough where it's private. Meaning if there's a group of people around you, they need to be like a certain distance away. Like you don't want to propose at a table and there's a table like 5 feet from you. These are the rules that I've been told. This is how it's been explained to me.
I don't get it.
None of that?
No.
None of that rings a bell. None of that makes sense to you.
No, it just doesn't make sense. The more orchestrate, like I've had this debate with people too. And again, let me clarify, I'm no longer married. But like when people ask about a first date and they go through all these, oh, you take it to dinner and this is the fancy, whatever the fanciest place in town is, you do this and you do that. And I just go get ice cream and go for a walk.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Like you can talk to them. You can, first of all, if you find someone that won't eat ice cream. Second of all, unless they're lactose intolerant or whatever. I mean, if I feel like take someplace new. She said, "Well, we're too young. Like they were still in college." And
so, real quick, reset
that
one real quick.
Oh, okay. So I think there's an aspect of people getting caught up in the moment, and because I know a story. A person directly told me a story that the guy asked the girl the day before, like, "Well, what would you say if I proposed?" And she said, "I'd say no." And he said, "Why?" She said, "Because we're too young. Like we're not even at college yet. Who knows where we're going to get a job, where we're going to be. Like, this is insane. Why would we get engaged now?" But he already had the ring, and he was just kind of testing the waters. And you would think, I mean, I would take that as I wouldn't want to get rejected twice in a row, because you don't want to be the guy who proposes then the next day and the girl looks at you and says, "I just told you no, idiot. Why would you ask me again?" But he did. He sucked it up and asked her the next day. And they were like some romantic walk on the beach. And she was like, "Oh my God, yes." And of course, it didn't make it to the altar. They called it off beforehand. But
the moment swept her up, essentially.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that women get swept up in the moment ever, but.
All right. Ban dating apps. This one's not a big deal.
Is this where we're going now?
No, I mean, this was good. So dating apps now, they're talking about possibly needing a background check in order to get on some of these dating apps. And it's already it must have started somehow, because it's coming out now in a story that felons have been being banned from some of these dating apps. So felons that were in They come out, it's on their record, and now these dating apps are kind of banning them or kicking them from the actual app. To your point earlier, you said, listen, it's a privately owned app. It is what it is. But I don't know. I think like they're trying to be reintroduced to society. Everyone's looking for love. I don't know.
And just to clarify from earlier in the show, this is where I made the mistake. All your charges were misdemeanors. They were not felonies.
That's what it was.
So that's why you're okay. And you haven't been
there's people who actually believe what you say.
That's
so you just think about it before you say it. Like you'd be amazed at how many people actually believe you.
My ex-wife used to say that. She's like, Mark, people don't always know when you're kidding.
No.
And I'm like, sure they do. And she's like, no, they really don't. There are times that people think this serious.
It's this unique skill you have where you can be utter bullshit, but people still actually think you might.
I remember the first time she said that to me.
Am I allowed to say that? Maybe I'm not. Utter BS, but you still, yeah, okay.
I do. I remember the first time she said it to me, and she was like, "I don't know how to break this to you, but they don't always know when you're kidding." And I looked at her, I was like, "Of course they do." She's like, "No, they don't. Not always. Not always."
So the point is, we're getting to the point now where it would be easier to open up like a brokerage account than it is to get on a dating app, hypothetically.
Well, if you don't felonies, I mean,
here's my question. Because you still have to apply, like you still have to go through the background check.
No, that's true. I get it. So, I mean, from a marketing side, how many girls want the guys with felonies? I mean, seriously, you think I'm kidding? When you're in high school, the biggest jerk always is a girlfriend. You know it and I know it. The nice guy is single a lot.
But a lot of that, well, yes. A lot of that too, though, is like at that age, it's just who's bolder. It's just the boldest wins.
And there's also like, I want to, piss off my parents. There has that to do with. So, if I bring home the kid who's number 3 in the class, who's in the National Honor Society, whatever, like my parents are going to love, I don't want that. I want somebody's going to.
This is what I'll say. I would argue, if I'm playing devil's advocate, I would argue there's probably a lot of 19, 20, 21-year-olds on these dating apps who are saying and doing far worse things than a recovered felon who's trying to put his life back together.
I will say this, and this is not where we wanted to go with the banned dating apps because we thought we could have fun with it. One of the biggest faults of our system is the ability to help rehabilitate criminals or whatever who are trying to adjust back into society. We're all like, well, they should just get a job. They should try. And then, well, are you going to give them a job? Well, no, I'm not going to give them a job because why would I? And it's one of the reasons that criminals continue to recycle back into the system in and out and in and out is because they don't have a lot of options when they are out. And it is one of the failures. But
you know what would help that? Finding love.
Well, I get that. But if you're making a dating app, you're trying to make money. Just like you would think that the Raya app is like, well, we shouldn't discriminate against people who aren't cool, but they do. So, I don't know. I don't know.
Speaking of people who are uncool, a New York Yankee. See what I did there? Was that
I
good?
I did. It was not. It was weak. It was weak.
There was another no-hitter. That's the third no-hitter in 2 weeks.
I think it was back-to-back days. Wasn't it? Kluber threw one last night. Who a line drive, one out in the ninth. Running catch in right field wasn't like a diving greatest play of all time, but the guy smoked it. He just smoked it right at him.
Right.
But I was telling you this. Nobody can hit anymore.
Yeah.
You pull up box scores, and it is common that someone in the starting lineup or multiple people in the starting lineup are hitting under 200. There are more people under 250 than over 250. The days where 1, 2, 3, and 4 were all over 300 you only find those on Little League fields now. So it is a different world. The launch angle and the try to hit every pitch over the outfielder's head has really eliminated the ability to just be a 300 hitter. There are so few of them, it's crazy.
So is the pitching better or the hitting worse?
The pitching throws harder, and they just have just harder. But the pitching the hitting, they've just changed the way people hit. And it is hitting the ball the other way and hitting line drives has gone the way of the mid-range jumper. Yeah. It's just not valued anymore. We're either going to get to the rim or we're going to shoot a 3. And basketball has decided that if we can do those two things and we do them well enough, we can win. And we don't ever need to shoot from between 12 and 17 feet.
Right.
Baseball's the same way. We're going up. We don't choke and poke with 2 strikes. When we get a leadoff double, we don't try to hit the ball. We just come up and we're taking our one big swing. It's like a golfer going, every time you're on the tee box, you hit driver. We're hitting driver. It doesn't matter if and golfers obviously don't do that because they manage the course. They've stopped managing the course in baseball. We're just taking the same swing. I don't care if it's 2-0 or 0-2.
Interesting. Basketball game last night. LeBron James hit a big shot.
Always does.
Always. You and I have talked about this, and I obviously have strong opinions about it. I will say this. After that game last night, the play-in games were a success.
Triple-double. I'll just throw that out.
He had a triple-double. Stephen Curry was ridiculous again. But yeah, the play-in games were cool. My fear, like I said before, I think they got lucky that the Lakers and Warriors played one of those. And
they did. First of all, 6 for 9 from the 3-point line is nothing to write home about.
And can I time out.
Who hasn't gone 6 for 9 from the 3-point line in an NBA
Can I add this
game?
about the 6 for 9? There was not one normal shot.
Whatever.
There wasn't. There was not one normal. They are impossible shots that he's hitting. It is absurd.
He's the greatest shooter we'll ever see.
It's insane.
This is while we've argued about LeBron, which we've done on multiple occasions, and we will do on multiple more occasions. One of the funny things about him that we have realized is you think your generation overrates him and says that he's greater than Jordan, which neither of us agree. But I think my generation underrates him, and I think he's closer to Jordan than people give him credit for. I say he's the second greatest player of all time. You said he's third behind Wilt, which I certainly can make an argument because Wilt was a freaky athlete and whatever. Yeah. But it's just funny that, like, you think Jordan's better, I think Jordan's better. But because of your peer group saw LeBron's whole career, they elevate LeBron. Since my peer group saw Jordan's whole career, we elevate Jordan. And it's funny how that comes from, and we're like 15 years apart.
Yeah, no, it's not going to go away anytime soon either. Like, we're going to be debating about this for a very, very long time. Last night, he got poked in the eye. Did you see this?
No.
If you get a chance, go look up like LeBron James memes this morning because he got poked in the eye. He's on the floor, and there's some great memes today of like him on the floor with like water in his eyes and like different like life moments. Really good stuff.
I will say this, and I love LeBron. When he gets touched, he is the furthest thing from a hockey player. He does not get up, dust it off, and go back to the huddle and play the next play.
I have made this argument.
He will lay there like a World Cup soccer player.
Oh, I've made this argument to my friends. He might be the most European American superstar basketball player we've ever had.
That's fair. That is fair.
He sells everything. He acts everything. It is like watching it's like watching an early 2000s European basketball player if they were an American all-star.
When he's down on the floor for the first 30 seconds, he wants you to believe that his very survival is in jeopardy.
Well, so real quick, did you hear any of the post-game stuff?
No.
He said in the post-game, they asked him about the final shot, which he drilled it. Like, this is no dispute. Like, he crushed it. He told the reporters that he was seeing 3 rims, so he aimed for the middle one.
Well, that's what the guy told Rocky. That's a great line.
know. I get it.
I'm just saying. That's a line.
I'm just saying. He's great. He's great. It's a line, but every 15-year-old in America right now thinks, oh, my God, LeBron James could shoot and he couldn't see. It's like, well, no, like he drilled it. He hit a really big shot.
You're saying I'm not the only one that says things and people believe it.
Yeah, that's true. Real quick, let's run down through this. Vicky, it will be an issue as soon as someone sues the app company for not disclosing the felony. Do they have to, like, if I hire a felon, do I have to disclose it to the people coming into my establishment?
No, the question is, does the felon... So what she's saying, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
So someone who's a felon lies, says, I'm not a felon. I mean, how do you prove you're not? It's like on an application, on a job application. Are you charged with any felonies? No. You turn it in, they match up. The girl's dating this guy, and down the road she finds out, oh, he is a felon. Now she sues the company.
That's why they're looking into doing background checks, like actual background checks to be on the apps.
So they do it up front. So there's more than... Yeah, because I'm sure that the big level employers do that. They just don't take your word for it on their little piece of paper.
It's interesting.
That is true.
Attention, Jeff is proposing it would be like going around in an ice cream truck announcing it. I'm actually not proposing. So that is, these are just the rules. Here's the funny thing. I'm to the age now where I have gotten to see almost all of my friends do it themselves. And these are just the rules that I've seen and have become reality for me. Like, I just believe that these are the rules.
I don't believe it. I mean, there's a rumor Halle Berry proposed to David Justice while they were naked in bed.
That's
now,
possible.
Isn't that better? Now, and again, their marriage didn't make it either. Isn't that a better proposal than anything you come up with?
Yeah,
naked Halle Berry?
If you're David Justice, it's a better proposal. Adam Sandler's best movie is Blended. That's a bold choice.
Blended?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I never saw it.
That's a bold one. Heather says it's the same exemption that's in their current policies for other vaccines. They aren't rewriting the book here, just adding the COVID vaccine to the list they already require.
See, I mentioned that.
I agree with Heather. I still disagree with the exemption then.
I said that when we were arguing about it earlier. I was like, there's other, not every kid that goes to Bucknell is a measles vaccine.
No, listen, that's why I said I don't disagree with what Heather is saying. I would just further apply my opinion to everything else. And again, it's just my opinion. I just would further say it's a belief exemption. And I think there's more than just the belief of religion. I think there's lots of beliefs. There's beliefs in what you believe in other aspects of life other than just religion. There's beliefs
of how you need to propose with an ice cream truck.
That is correct.
Listen, if you proposed with ice cream, you would win. That is correct.
And then any update on that Chinese restaurant on Washington Boulevard? Maybe next week, maybe Monday. Let's pick a day and we can talk about it. Jasmine Thai up on Washington Boulevard. You're looking at the screen as if I'm like talking to
I don't know. No, I don't know what to say. At this point, I don't know if we do any good. There's a lot of I don't know.
I understand. No,
are we making society better by talking about it again?
You don't have to explain yourself. All right. Anything else you want to add?
Who's that kid?
Just some kid. I think it was the alien kid from yesterday. Remember yesterday we talked about UFOs? I think I just threw it. I always have to find a picture to end the show. So I tried. That's why I started doing the Bill Gates thing. But then now the whole Bill Gates story is getting a little too.
It's not. Much. It's a little creepy now.
A little creepy now. So now I'm afraid to do the Gates
Melinda.
Bill Gates.
Melinda's the one we're interested in anyway. Well, you're not because you're going to propose with an ice cream truck. Now you have a. I hope she doesn't watch the show today. You're going to get her hopes up.
Who?
The one who you might propose to.
Oh, no, I won't get her hopes up. I looked right into the camera and said I wasn't proposing.
Oh, like you haven't looked in the camera and lied before.
I don't think I have. I've given wrong opinions. I don't think I've tried to lie, but we'll see. All right. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Thank you to Weiss Markets for being our title sponsor. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. Thank you to NorthcentralPa.com. Be sure to go there for all your local news as well. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Mark, any last words?
Yeah, you should propose in Weiss Markets.
Maybe I'll propose on the Midday Show. Ooh. At Weiss Markets.
Ooh. That would be I still say 50-50. She says no.
Listen, nothing would surprise me. I've learned that throughout my life. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll have a Midday Show proposal. Maybe for like the 500th episode, we'll do like the Midday proposal.
You know, it would be great. So how many guys have gone to like the girl's friends and said, hey, I think I'm going to propose on Saturday. Can you? And they're like, that might not be a good idea.
Tons.
She's not really happy with you right now. As a matter of fact, she's been texting her old boyfriend a lot. So you might want to hang on to that ring.
Tons. Last one before we go, because I might be putting them on blast. I had family that the guy tried to get her to go on a hike. The girl refused to go on the hike. So he just did it. Like he just right there. Like he just did it. And she was like, I didn't know. So like the guy was trying to like take her to this romantic spot and everything else. And she was just like, I don't want to hike today. Like, I don't feel like, and he was like, okay. And that was the
good proposal. For him. Good for him.
So I did good there. I didn't put anyone on blast, right? There's no way to know.
No, that's a good story.
That's a good one. All right.
Not as good as mine, but I'm going to hang on to mine anyway.
Thanks for watching the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Go have a great day.